So fight, 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 fight!
It's continuing coverage of Ball State football here on Ball State All Access, ballstatesports.com, and spring football quite literally just around the corner. So we sit down and talk with the Cards' second-year head coach, Mike Neu. How's that sound, first of all?
That sounds better than the first year this time a year ago. So, but yeah, I'm excited to get spring ball started here. You know, we've had a busy off season, obviously with recruiting that never stops. But it's good to finally be around our players and our program, and excited to see the development and the hard work they put in the weight room finally get on the field here and just kind of see where those guys are at.
This is really your first true off season, and in some senses your first spring ball, because last year it was more about teaching, and this year it seems like it's a chance for more development. What's your approach been that was maybe different than the first go-around?
You know, the great thing about this time now compared to a year ago is we've got a year's worth of tape, and we can truly focus on what we need to do to get better. You know, what are the tweaks that we need to make from a scheme standpoint? Offensively, obviously defensively, we've had a change at the top with David Elson coming in here, but really it's having an opportunity to self-scout ourselves, to make some changes to what we were doing, clean a few things up, focus on attention to detail. That's going to be a big message for us here this spring. And, you know, as much as anything else, now you know the guys that are in your program. You've been around them now for a year. You know their strengths, you know their weaknesses. And, you know, there's a big transition, in my opinion, from year one to year two of a program. Okay, this is a year. Okay, how much better can you get from year one to year two?
We can split things up, offense and defense. Let's talk about David Elson and what the next month and a half is for his guys and for him, not to get a new system implemented, but to get a new, just new personalities acclimated to what they want from each other.
Yeah, and that was a big part of the process when I was interviewing candidates for that position. A big part of it was to make sure that it was a good fit with the staff, not only defensive staff, but the staff in the building. You know, is it a good personality fit? Do we feel like we share the same likenesses, if you will? And is he a guy that when he comes in, what's going to be his plan of attack? Because he's coming in and there's already a defensive support staff in place. So for him, that was a transition where he had to come in, kind of get to know those guys behind closed doors, strengths, weaknesses, what we did well defensively a year ago. He was very open-minded to building on a lot of the positive things that we did. He wanted to look first and foremost to see terminology-wise, can I adopt some of the terminology that exists already, because it's a lot easier for one guy to learn than it is for 40 guys to learn. So I appreciated his approach that way. I know it's always tough when you're a play caller, though, when the game's on the line and it's in the heat of the battle, you're going to call what flows off your tongue. So I know there's a balance a little bit there, but I appreciate him being open-minded enough to look into that, to take that into consideration, and I know that has meant a lot to our defensive guys.
What are Joey's goals here over the next month and a half?
Well, I think it's more than anything else. We start with the turnover battle. We got to eliminate turnovers. We were 11th out of 12 teams in the MAC last year, and we can fix that. That's exciting because we know that we can fix that by becoming a smarter football team, and I think that's been a big point of emphasis for us here. As we get smarter and we play with more confidence at all positions, we're going to minimize our turnovers, and we know that we can flip the script from 4-8 to 9-3, whatever it may be. If we can just fix that and win the turnover battle each and every week, we give ourselves right there a great chance to win. And I think attention to detail, I've already talked about. For us, we got to clean things up on the field. There's just a little bit, not quite. We got 2 or 3 guys on each respective play that they could have maybe been a little bit better. Whether it was an alignment, whether it was an assignment, whether it was technique, whatever. But that's going to be a big point of emphasis for us, is just attention to detail. Let's make sure that we take care of us, because we got 11 guys strong on the field doing their job to the best of their ability. Man, I'd take that any day of the week.
We obviously know James Gilbert is good. We know the known factors for you guys. We know Vinny Palizzetti can do certain things. What you don't know is what Jalen Thomas can do for you, or what Brandon Martin can do for you. I mean, pick any freshman or sophomore on this roster. What's critical for those guys over the next 6 weeks to say, hey, I can contribute once we get to the fall?
Well, I think, number one, you don't want those guys to put too much pressure on themselves to say, oh, man, I got to go out and do something special here in order to get noticed, to get playing time. They've done such a great job in the weight room, in the developmental portion of our program up to this point. They've worked really hard with Coach Armour, with Coach Fakes, to prepare for this moment, for this day. When they get out on the field now, they're going to get a ton of reps in order to get evaluated and see, what is my role? Where's my fit here? Not only defensively, but I got to make an impact here on special teams, because everybody in our program, we expect them to line up and to be a big part of what we do from a special team standpoint. And so I'm excited for all those guys that, have been here now. Maybe they didn't play last fall, but they've worked their tail off in the weight room. They put 20 pounds of muscle on. I'm excited to see those guys get on the field here and just, let the spring practice schedule unfold. Let's evaluate them on tape. And really, it's exciting because there are a lot of young, good prospects that are in our program.
Brandon Cooks gets traded. How many catches for Willie Snead next year?
Well, I'm going to say 110 catches for Willie Snead next year. So, I'm excited for Willie. He's worked very hard up to this point, and what a true pro that Willie is. And, he doesn't take one day for granted, and that's the part you love about him.
Mike, appreciate the time. Looking forward to it.
Okay, thank you.
Head coach Mike Neu joining us. I'm going to hop back on my bike and make sure all motorists see me while I'm out there on the road. And we'll have more updates from Ball State spring football here on Ball State All Access and ballstatesports.com.